Hi, I'm doing a video here on changing a bearing on the Thunder Tiger MT4 G3. Couple things to note. In one of my past videos I was talking about super gluing the hub pins in place so they don't get thrown out. I've done it successfully twice and none of them have been thrown out yet. However, this third wheel was a front wheel. I mentioned in my last video that it was super glued in place and would run 1 to 2 runs probably before it came off. It ran 3. However, when I super glued it, I accidentally got some glue between it and the bearing, so it's super glued to the side of the bearing, and the bearing actually came apart. So I went to basically I took the bearing into my local hobby shop, and I got these are Traxxas bearings. Part number here is 5118. They're just blue bearings. They look like this. The other thing I discovered, I was going to replace both the bearings in this part, and it turns out the bearings are actually, there's a inner bearing that's bigger diameter than the outer bearing. So if you have to replace both bearings, you're going to have to buy 2 different sizes. So pop all your bearings out, take them into the hobby shop. Another thing I have here is this is a shout out to Mr. McMinney Midget Man, I believe, who had suggested using these little O-ring pieces. I bought this at my Home Depot. Came out of the plumbing department. This particular one I went with a number 9 O-ring. So the beauty of that is, unlike super gluing, I can get my parts back apart again in case I do need to change a bearing or something. The ones that are super glued, I'll probably have to grind them off at some point if I ever have to get them apart. So with that said and done, I'll just show you that it's pretty simple, pretty quick and easy. And I'll show you what goes into getting to this part of the wheel and how you get it apart. I've already taken it apart, but you can sort of tell from when I put it back together how you would do it. It's pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead, now that I actually have everything apart, I'm just going to slap this bearing in place. This is the piece, and the hub, let me grab one, goes on top and goes over this and slips in, and you can see there's the two holes that line up here. Oops, sorry about that. They line up and then you put a pin through there. Problem is, on their own these pins don't really stay in place, so I'm going to take this O-ring and try to slip it over that once it's in place. So luckily I've already gotten it apart, and I just put this in here. Slide this piece through. Okay, now that's the easy part. Now it's all just putting it back together again. And it's only about 3 different things. You've got this piece here. Okay, so this ball joint thing goes inside, and then this little clear plastic piece with the concave section goes over top of that, and that sort of holds it in place. And then this silver, there's this threaded silver piece which goes on top of that plastic cap, and that's what holds it all in place. Now you have a hex head here on this big silver piece, and then if you look deep inside of this ball joint, you'll see there's actually, see if I can get it to focus or not, there's actually another hex head in the center of that. It's a little out of focus, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together. Now when I do put one of these together, I always reverse the threads first before I go forward. You should feel a slight, like almost a click, as the thread seats into the correct position so that you don't accidentally cross thread. and in this plastic, cross-threading, it's probably the worst thing you could do. So yeah, I always back up until things are seated right before I go forward again. Probably to about there. Then I take this piece, that goes in concave side inwards. Then you take this piece, put it in over top. Same thing, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to back it up first. Actually, I'll do this by hand. Back it up. There you go. I just felt it click. So it's now seated correctly. Now I go the other way. Hands on there. Sure everything seems to be okay. Again, until they're just kind of getting a little snug. Now, go ahead and pop the piece on. So I'm going to pop this piece on here. I'm going to push it out of the way. Okay, see? This is right here. Now, I am using some, this time I'm trying something a little different. I do have one actual hub pin left, but instead of using the hub pin, I'm using a 7/64 part of a drill bit that I cut off. I bought a pack of 10 drill bits for $2 at Harbor Freight, which is way cheaper than buying the actual hub pins. So I'm going to try using one of these because they're hardened steel and they should actually work fine. And even if they don't, they're way cheaper to replace. So this here, you can see there's even a little bit of drill threading on it there, but that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and push this piece out. Slide that in there. And then pull this, you can see it in there, I'm going to pull this rubber O-ring. And once again, appreciate the tip from Mr. Mini McMidget Man who suggested this. It seems like a good idea. I'm going to check it out and see how it works. And that should now help hold those in place. Now I just pop this off of here. That wheel on. Tighten it up the rest of the way. And that's it. It's a pretty simple fix, pretty easy repair, but something worth knowing because on this car this is probably the most frequent occurrence I've had. So I hope this was helpful. Alright, we'll talk to you later.